choosing the right career, course and college post school plays a very important role, something to which this series Why Engineering is dedicated to. For the sake of information to our viewers, Engineering Watch has devised a unique fellowship program whereby 1000 prospective engineering students are being selected as Engineering Watch fellows who would be provided an experienced mentor from industry and research institutions. Our committed campus partners from across the country are helping in the due screening of the contenders. Today we would be carrying out our discussions having the state of Rajasthan as our focus state. We have the great good fortune to have Professor Nalinaksh Vyas, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Rajasthan Technical University. Professor Vyas has taught at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur for 26 long years from 1987 to 2013 till he took over the reins of RTU in December 2013. We have also with us Dr. Arvind Agrawal, a student of medical sciences specializing in psychiatry, but interestingly the key driving force behind an upcoming engineering college in the state capital of Jaipur. I welcome all our panelists today. My first question to Dr. Agrawal is that being an expert in psychology and also someone who has been witnessing the admissions processes, what is the predominant psychology of the kids as well as their parents in pursuing a career in engineering per se?
Engineering education has become important education in this country. We are a superpower because of our engineering strength and the students. Students are very ambitious. They are looking forward to engineering as a avenue to meet their aspiration and ambitions. And the counseling mainly depends upon their prospective, what will be the jobs they will be getting, how the placement will be done, what is the academic environment, and these are the things they generally ask us.
I would like to welcome Professor Vyas. Sir, it might be being a sea change from moving from a premier institution of the country to managing one of the largest technical universities in the state of Rajasthan. So what specific change of culture and aspirations have you witnessed while being the Vice Chancellor of RTU, especially amongst the students at RTU and particularly with those at the IIT Kanpur system?
It has been a sea change, moving from IIT Kanpur to Rajasthan Technical University. It is a completely different paradigm, but the paradigm shift is only in terms of the infrastructure that is available in big institutions like IITs and the infrastructure that is available at a state level university. But as far as the aspirations of the students are concerned, the aspirations of the society is concerned, and the aspirations of the parents are concerned, they probably remain the same. They are universal in nature. The type of problems that one faces in a state university are different than those in an IIT.
So what kind of a differential role play do you envisage for these 129 odd engineering institutions under RTU vis-a-vis say IIT Kanpur, which is at the helm of affairs?
The question that you raised about the relevance of the kind of education that is being imparted by universities like ours with say employability between 20 to 30%. If you look at the spread of engineering colleges across the nation in the number of districts that we have requirements, the kind of student population that you have in the various districts of the country, we find that we now have a basic infrastructure to we have the buildings, we have some modicum of laboratories, classrooms, etc., which need to be developed and strengthened further. We now do have an infrastructure which can be properly utilized, strengthened for future engineering education in this country.
I would like to bring in Dr. Agrawal at this point because he has built up an institution from scratch and it is providing some meaningful role. Would you like to add upon what Professor Vyas has commented?
On institution level, I can give you my input. That's We work on 5 pillars of quality that are infrastructure, academic excellence, teacher learning processes, training and placements, and R&D and innovations. So first and foremost, I always believe in infrastructure. Infrastructure shows the intent of the institution to give a good education, and then we have to create an ecosystem for academic excellence. And then teacher learning process should be two-way. It should not be one way. Examination and evaluation process has to be very important. And then we believe in training and placement. We train our students for 3 years, and we hope that on the 4th year when they come for a campus placement, they are ready. And 5th is our R&D and innovation, where we have started working. We have got one of the best robotic labs, Wipro microprocessor labs, CCNA labs, and CNCs, UTMs. So we work on different spectrum, and we try to give the education to the student to the best of our efforts. And though we understand that 4 years of engineering education is less, we can prepare the student for a sector specific industry.
How do you set up the right expectation of the students and their parents in the first place?
We tell our students and the parents especially that engineering education, first 4 years, it is a very crowded space, and there is an intense competition. And we cannot finish the competition, but we can teach you the ways to beat the competition. And the moment you will get the employment, you will be in a different league, and from there ambition and your aspirations can be met very nicely. And you have, generally the engineers become at the age of 21, 22, and after 22 you have got 50 years of working, and in this 50 years आप बहुत जल्दी ही करोड़पति बन जाएंगे. आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि within 5 years in IT and computer science you will be called a veteran. You have experience with you, and within 5 or 10 years you will be in a very middle segment company. You will be you may be heading it.
So an engineering degree as per you is a first step towards a long illustrious career which an individual would build up over a period of time.
I would say a long illustrious life.
Okay.
Rather than a career.
So moving from the careers in engineering, we move on. We all are quite concerned that India's manufacturing output has seen its terrific lows in the decade which has passed by. Now, being a mechanical engineer yourself and a faculty, how do you propose to make RTU courses in tune with the increased national demands in time to come?
Well, within the last 3 or 4 months that I have taken over, we have attempted to start a dialogue with the Confederation of Indian Industries. The Confederation of Indian Industries has come forward in a very positive manner to help us. We've had several meetings with them and come up with concrete proposals like setting up skill development centers, initially in Jaipur and in Kota. These would be replicated in other zonal centers as well. These skill centers would focus on the very subjects that you mentioned, the manufacturing sectors, whereby the students will be selected by CII and trained for a period of 30 months. Along with that, we are also embarking upon a faculty development program in these skill centers themselves, where 5 or 10 faculty members selected by CII would be trained by professionals for a period of 30 days in the areas of infrastructure, in the area of mechanical design and manufacturing, including prototyping and electronic fabrication and design. So the investment in infrastructure, in machinery, in software would be by the university, and we are seeking CII's help in running these centers. So what we expect is by the end of 1 year, in these 3 areas, in the 2 centers that we are envisaging, we have an army of at least 2,000 to 3,000 students who can compare, who are trained in the latest state-of-art software and hardware in these areas and compete with the very best in the country.
That is really fantastic, sir, for a tenure not more than even a half a year, not less than even 6 months, sir has taken over. Dr. Agrawal, how do you tackle the complex question of selecting a discipline of engineering at your campus, because this remains the predominant concern of the students at large, which branch to choose, because they feel that whatever they choose, it defines their career and life, as Professor Vyas says, in times to come?
We personally say that it is not the stream which matters. There are hundreds or thousands of people are working in the CS and 100,000 people are working and getting employment, and they are doing very wonderful things in electronics and communication, in mechanical, electrical. The branch is not a Paras money. Paras money is you.
How emphatic is this counseling to the kids who come to take admissions?
They come with a predetermined, and they have a our counseling, more than our counseling, they have a hearing power. Whatever their seniors or the relatives says that this branch is good, they are more inclined towards that branch. But if you see the employment numbers, the highest number is generated by IT industry, IT and ITS industries, and the enrollment numbers, if we see in RTU, is the minimum in IT industry. And I still say IT is the revolution. It will take millions of peoples, and for the next 10 years, IT will be the number one branch.
So are you somewhere envisaging a mechanism like as it exists in the medical field, where a 5-year MBBS program teaches all the 22 branches, and then you take a specialization?
I don't envisage that this is going to happen too soon, but we need to bring in more and more interdisciplinarity in our undergraduate education also, after the first year or the second year, where you impart basic science knowledge and mathematics knowledge to
But sir, in an era when colleges are granted seats, they are licensed seats in particular disciplines, how will this interdisciplinary nature evolve? What kind of structural changes you carry forward?
We will have to look at the curriculum. The number of courses that are taught in a particular semester are anywhere between the range of 8 to 9 courses a semester. While if you look at an IIT structure, or it is maximum number of courses in a particular semester is 6.
Yes.
And the emphasis now is more on projects, peer learning, informal discussions, and the other methods of teaching. So we, apart from the overall structure, we also need to look at the content of what is being taught. This change has to come about.
So then what is your blueprint, being at the helm of affairs for at least the next 3 years? How do you want to transform RTU courses?
No, we have embarked upon this exercise. The number of contact hours have also been proportionately reduced. The course material is also being looked at very, very carefully. Students have lost the habit of reading books. We are not reading textbooks at all. So we are also prescribing textbook for every course.
So in an era when we are learning more socially, like learning from the experiences of others, RTU is almost completing 8 years of its inception. Do you also envisage to take on the best practices emulated by some of the affiliated institutions and then replicate them at a university level?
We need to learn from some of the more progressive universities in the country, like this examination system that I was telling you about, automated processes in administration. These are some of the practices that we will have to bring into our university as well. But it will be a step-by-step process.
India, as we say, the social change which is happening, it happens more out of regulation, more out of the larger boundaries you set across. So as far as the regulation is concerned, as an RTU affiliated institution, you have to go through a particular entrance examination and the schedules of things. So vis-a-vis regulation, because a private university is quite self-regulatory in nature. So in that context, I would pass on this question to Dr. Agarwal, like given a choice to graduate to a private university or remain affiliated to an RTU college, what would be your preference?
Our preference will be that we should be regulated by Rajasthan Technical University only. There is a privatization of the education is there, and since private universities are coming, but there is a certain issues with private universities that they have got admission with them, academic with them, examination with them, and the last thing is to pass out the students. We personally believe that all four things in single roof is a catastrophe, and there should be a third party evaluation. And I personally believe that our job is to teach, and our job is to provide the academic excellence to our students, and RTU is there to evaluate and pass them. And if this power comes to a single body, this becomes a little bit difficult to manage it.
As a first and differentiator, because for a normal student coming from a tier 3 town or from a rural district of Rajasthan, what kind of assurance he gets, the differential of getting a RTU affiliated college evokes a kind of a larger trust rather than a private university which has all the four organs under its banner. So what would you give an advice to a...
Well, it has its own advantages, because if he is coming to a university which is run by the state like the Rajasthan Technical University, he can be sure of the fact that the processes which are required for engineering education, they are in place. In operating these processes efficiently, but there is no doubt that these processes are in place. Most of the private universities, a student before taking admission will have to make sure whether these processes are in place or they are not in place. And the student coming from rural background, the parents coming from rural background, they would not be in a position to make a judgment whether they are going to the right kind of doctor or to a jhola chhap.
So does RTU envisages to have a regime where some spaces of innovation in terms of curriculum or in terms of time frames, because some of the colleges say that they want to teach more, but some of the time frame which is provided by the university administration doesn't allow them to conduct that many number of classes in that framework.
We are definitely not enforcing the lowest common denominator on everyone. But in the last 5-6 months, I have not been approached by anybody that we want to do more.
So you govern almost to the tune of 129 engineering colleges in the state of Rajasthan. What are the three core parameters which in your opinion should be taken up by the students at large?
We are also trying to put up the faculty qualifications of each institution
As a mandatory disclosure.
as a mandatory disclosure on it should be readily available to the students. The laboratories and the infrastructure that the institution has got. But by and large, students go by the reputation of the college, the kind of placement that it has achieved.
You have been facing the counseling process at RTU. What kind of improvements or suggestions you would like to give to Dr. Vyas through this platform, which will improve this illumination as Professor Vyas was talking about?
All I want to thank you, sir, first. And then I will like to, we are not facing competition only from IITs, and we are facing the competition between government colleges, MNITs, and then private universities. So we want the RTU should adopt certain progressive and pragmatic policies, and which can help us to compete with the private universities. And RTU should declare that student benefit is paramount, and we all institution, the university, the institution, the faculty works for the betterment of the student. That is the one thing we want.
How do you envisage to create RTU as a brand in the whole cosmos of around 18-20 state technical universities which we have under your RTU umbrella? There is UPTU, there is HPTU, GTU. So what kind of interventions you want to create RTU as a larger umbrella brand, as Dr. Agarwal was saying, to compete with the other private universities which are coming up and which can take students from any state per se?
As far as making RTU making a mark on the national scene is concerned, it will be quality improvement is not an overnight process. It will have to be an arduous journey, step by step process where we improve the quality of of everything, in fact, the quality of our faculty, the quality of our curriculum, the kind of interaction that we have with the industry, the quality improvement in the student projects, that the quality in the hostel, improvement in the hostel life of the students, cultural programs, science and technology fairs, exposure to the outside world. All these are important ingredients that will go into building this university, but it is going to be a long process.
So here we come to the close of this episode of Why Engineering. We have a tenacious academic administrator who doesn't promise too much like the politicians do, and he is hopeful, he is very optimistic. He is working quite hard to make RTU its distinctive mark on the national scene, but he doesn't give false promises. It will take its own time. He sees engineering as an education which prepares you for life. It is just the first step towards your long illustrious life. He doesn't put up the word career per se. And the entire debate and deliberation around what discipline to choose, Professor Vyas has somewhere rested that debate. He says that a student in engineering has to study everything in the age of interdisciplinary education and in the age of convergence of all technologies which is happening these days. Engineering Watch would be coming back again with yet another interesting episode of Why Engineering, with yet another Vice Chancellor of a State Technical University and an interesting campus partner who is really working hard and creating a difference at the local scene with whatever little infrastructure and support which they could gather out of their own personal finances. We would be back again in another episode of Why Engineering. Till then, stay tuned.